Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking. Let's get rolling.
WNY watercooler.com.
Steve.
Who the fuck is this guy? Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you? Okay, I like it. All right.
Coast.
Welcome back. WNYWaterCooler.com podcast. I'm Steve, the host, and we got Rec on the line for us this week.
Yeah, baby, I'm back first again. I like this. Coming off a W, an AFC conference W. Steve Watercooler Janice. I was sitting with your ass in the fucking rock pile, and dude, I'm pumped about the squad right now. What's happening in WNY?
Well, we've all three of us, I think, took the Bills to win that game. Most of the media, of course, had Denver winning it easily, which I never understood. Trevor Siemian has never won a big game on the road. I ran through his losses last week. All division losses, and then at Tennessee. He was 4-4 on the road. The line made no sense to me.
Well, yeah, besides the fact you got a rookie head coach and you got tiny Tyrod against that defense, but you're right. But it was a big ass W, man. It felt good. My first game at the Ralph in 4 years, and it felt good as fuck.
Yeah, but Denver has a rookie head coach too, so the crowd was in it. I mean, there was a bunch of Denver fans there, of course, but I didn't really feel like that game. Everyone's talking about this Von Miller play where he got the personal foul.
Yeah.
I still was not overly concerned about Denver. They still would have had to score twice to win that game. I don't think that everyone's blaming that as the reason that we won. I don't believe that.
Come on. No, we our defense whooped the fuck out of Denver last week. Come on, that's bullshit. Sean McDermott actually he coached a good game. He had the team ready to play. Special teams looked good. Hauschka balled his ass off. He made some kicks. My boy Kalen Clay made a big catch. I mean, we're 2-1. We're going to Atlanta. I mean, Denver. That's if you want to make a playoff, you got to win that game. You have to.
Yeah, if we want to extend this
coming up, then you got to buy. You got to win that freaking game.
Yeah, if you want to extend this season into Thanksgiving and beyond, you had to beat Denver, and we'll have to beat Cincy. This Atlanta game is basically a freebie. We need to get McCoy going. That's a little bit concerning. I mean, we've played two good defenses back-to-back, but McCoy not getting off at all is disconcerting.
Yeah, Watercooler, can you pause it? My Uber's calling me. It just hung up on me. I gotta get this real quick.
Yeah. All right, Uber got you back home safe. That was a unintentional plug for our unofficial sponsor there, Rick.
Yeah, $750 from DC all to my place, bro.
So yeah, you had to beat Denver. You got to beat Cincinnati. So what I'm saying, basically, this Atlanta game's a free game. The line started off at 9.5 down to 8.
Free game, yeah, I guess so. I mean, they're the defending NFC refs, but I mean, yeah, we could beat them. I think. We gotta get McCoy, like you said, you gotta get McCoy going. You gotta find Zay Jones. See if he's got a fucking pulse. You gotta keep keep Clay involved. Yeah, you need to put points up on the board because you're not going to shut the team down under 20 points. You're going to have to put up 27 points most likely.
At a minimum. I think unfortunately, we might look at that Carolina game in 6 or 8 weeks and lament that loss, just like Baltimore last year.
Yeah, but we took that on the Broncos, which it was tie ball game halfway through the third, but yeah, you're right. You gotta win. You gotta split one of the next two. You gotta split the next two and go to the bye 3-2, and then find the actual. I don't know about this team. The defense looks good, but is the offense can they contend in December when you got 2 games against Brady? You still got Derek Carr on the schedule. You got Drew Brees on the schedule. You got Winston. You got Rivers, and KC. It's a tough schedule coming up, but you got to win one of the next 2 for sure.
Well, the whole AFC from top to bottom is a huge question mark. Dolphins somehow lose to the Jets. Patriots should have lost to Houston if Houston's dumbass coach had any testicular fortitude whatsoever. The Patriots would be 1-2 right now. Dolphins, who knows what the hell the Dolphins are? The only great team right now looks like the Chiefs, surprisingly. The Raiders, they laid an egg. I'm not going to count the Raiders out just for one bad loss, but, there seems like every game is winnable or losable.
No, I agree. Obviously New England's New England, but besides that, the West is, any given day you can beat one of those teams. So, you just got to get our teams together. But, our offense...
Zay Jones, does he exist?
No, but Taylor, somehow everyone's sucking him off in the national media. They say he played his best game as a Bill, but I thought the defense in the crowd really was the MVP of the game. I didn't see. Taylor played well, but I didn't think he played great, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I didn't think. Tiny, he got over 200 yards passing, which with a lead basically the whole game, or tie or lead the whole game, and no running game whatsoever. It's a bit surprising, but Tiny didn't change anyone's mind that watches his team week in and week out. He made plays that we've seen him make. He missed some plays that we see him miss. He basically did what he always does. This team when the crowd's in it, it's tough to win in Buffalo. That's pretty much
exactly.
it.
Exactly. These clowns saying that I saw on ESPN 8 out of 8 fucking people picked the Broncos to beat us. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it makes
the Broncos? Who are the Broncos? They didn't even make the playoffs last year. And all of a sudden, we got a rookie head coach. Congratulations. And all of a sudden, they're going to come into Laurel in Orchard Park and not even make it a game? Are these people serious? Have they ever been to an actual NFL game? Or do they just sit in Bristol, Connecticut and, drink coffee on Saturday morning and Sunday morning and, talk about, fantasy football? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
everyone has no idea what they're talking about. It's embarrassing.
Everyone in the Buffalo News pretty much picked Denver to win. It's a 3-point spread, and everyone was banging the Denver Broncos. It made no sense to me. The line never moved, and I was saying take the Bills the whole week. There's just a national...
We all did. Listen to last week's podcast. These people are lost. That's ridiculous.
Once a narrative gets laid out there in the national media, or especially in the local media, where there's only 6 people that have opinions about the team, it just sticks. And then everyone just repeats that. Because no one really watched any of the games. Like you said, most people are just paying attention to fantasy football. WGR, they have 3 fantasy football segments a fucking day. Who cares about your fantasy football team? No one does.
Yeah, they shut down Tyron Smith, the proclaimed national media best offensive lineman of all time. And, yeah, their defense played good against Dallas, but are you kidding me? Like, okay, they shut down a rookie or a second-year quarterback and a second-year running back. I mean, this is, it pissed me off, to be honest with you. You got a team, you got a veteran offensive line coming in, and I mean, I know I keep saying but the freaking offense, they move the ball, and Hauschka won the game for him, and if McDermott coached well, we're 2-1. I don't know what else you want me to say.
I'm a poi boy, and Trey White, that guy's a legit player. I mean, we got him 27th, and we got an extra first-round pick out of it. I don't care what the fucking Chiefs do. I mean, unless Mahomes becomes like a Hall of Famer or something, but Trey White's a legit player. I'm a poi boy. Hauschka, that dude, he played great this past week. I mean, he had 3 field goals over 49 yards or longer. I don't think we've ever had a kicker that's hit 50 or more, 250 or more yards. I mean, guy had a great game. I love special teams. Makes or breaks it.
Oh, damn right. Trey White's a player. So is Humber. So is Adolphus Washington. We stopped the fake punt. I mean, the team was ready to play, which under Rex Ryan and whoever the defensive coordinator was from the Jets, I can't even remember his name anymore.
Thank God. Yeah, no one knows Dennis Thurman's name.
Dennis Thurman, yeah. But yeah, the team was ready to play. They came out ready to play. They were, and that drive at the end of the half, after we tied it up at I think 13, or it was either 10-10 or 13-13 and a half. But we got the ball back with 42 seconds left, and we tied it up. That was huge. That was freaking huge. Tyrod hit a ball to O'Leary. I don't even know if that was second quarter, third quarter. I mean, I was at the game, but that doesn't say much for me. But
well, it was like 90 degrees and beers were flowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, your boy Julio Jones is banged up, and I'm still concerned about Atlanta's offense. With or without Julio, they still can sling the rock all over the field, but it's a great matchup this week. I mean, our defense against their offense, and if Julio's banged up, and it's a getaway game for Atlanta. They got the bye week after that, and then they want to concentrate on real teams. I can see them looking past us. That might work in our benefit for much of the season.
Okay, first of all, if Julio is healthy, it's a complete mismatch. Their offense against our defense. I don't care if Shanahan is their coordinator or not. But, yeah, if Julio's banged up or out, that's obviously a complete game changer. That's completely a new ball game. That guy is a monster. But, yeah, if he's healthy, our defense, yeah, we've shut down Josh McCown, Simeon, and we barely shut down Newton, but I mean, come on. Matt Ryan, he's an MVP.
Well, yeah. So I mean, this will be a true test. I mean, the Denver. I never had any respect for Trevor Siemian on the road, just because he threw a bunch of touchdowns the last 2 prior weeks. I couldn't give less of a shit about that. So I mean, we'll see. If we get crushed by Atlanta, I mean, it's going to be demoralizing, but then we'll just brush it off. We'll say it's an NFC game that pretty much means very little in the long run. But I mean, I don't want to get crushed by him clearly, but if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, if Julio's out, we could definitely win the game.
They're wearing their vintage jerseys
very
too.
Competitive. If Julio's out, you got to be. I mean, you got to. This is your chance to make a statement and get to possibly 3-1. It's simple as that. I mean, we got one more game after that, before the bye. So you got to come ready to play. I mean, the team needs to be ready to play. Last road game, Carolina, they weren't ready to play. The offense wasn't ready to play. The offense needs to come out and put some points on the board. Zay Jones, your boy, needs to wake up And yeah,
He's not my
the team
boy.
needs to get it together.
What's your prediction?
Oh boy, you go first, man. I got to think about this one.
I think it's going to be a tighter game than people anticipate, just because I think Atlanta's going to look past us. They're going to look to their bye, try and get Julio rested, because they're going to have what? They'll have 12 straight games after this now.
They have a bye the following week, week 5.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Thanks for preparing, dude. And they're wearing their vintage jerseys. I mean, I don't know what that exactly means, but I'm gonna have to say 27-22. We're gonna lose.
Jesus. What's your record predicting the games this year on your cast? I'm 3-0. I know that.
I think I had us beating Carolina because Cam was hurt. All we need is one goddamn pass.
Yeah, I think you're right. You did. You and Coach are 2-1. I think I'm 3-0. I'm gonna go. Hurts, but I'm gonna go 26-13 Atlanta.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't. I mean, Atlanta's defense is seemingly better. They're improved from last year. We'll see. It's gonna be a battle. Quinny.
Yeah, if McDermott wins this game,
we're gonna be throwing parades.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I couldn't. It was being at the Ralph for a big W. It felt like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when we had like Fitzpatrick back in the day, and winning big games. I don't know. We haven't.
Did that ever happen?
DJ Manuel era was just a nightmare. So I haven't felt that in a while. So
well,
it felt good.
Well, maybe you should come back in November.
Yeah, we got J-Mo coming into town. Who else is coming in? Drew Brees?
Yeah, Brees, Bucks, Raiders. Yeah, I mean, those got a lot of Pirates on the schedule coming up. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, peace.
We have our second guest on the line, Michael Costanza, Coast.
What's up, Jan, man?
2-1 Bills, baby.
Oh yeah, we've been spot on with all our feelings of every opponent we played so far. I think that Denver, they were exactly what we thought. Carolina, the Jets. I mean, the season's going out as we predicted so far.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should actually get paid for this shit instead of these fucking clowns. In the Buffalo News and on GR, they had the Bills going 4-12, losing to all these teams.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it for a month that the Bills aren't very different than last year, and Carolina we didn't think was good. Denver's, they were 9-7 last year. None of these teams. It's no surprise to me at all that they're 2-1. In fact, I'm pretty sure we all had them pinned at 2-1 at least.
Well, yeah. Everyone I talked to on this podcast has us at 2-1, and that Panthers game, basically slipped through the cracks of our fucking hands. Like I said earlier, yeah. I mean, I said it, a couple of minutes earlier in this pod when I was talking to old Rexter. I don't want to look at the season in November or December, but we may regret that Carolina game. We may lament that loss.
Yeah, we may lament it, but you're going to lose some games like that, and it was a non-conference game at least, so it's really not going to have any tiebreaker implications unless we're in a wild card battle with like Miami or something, and it comes down to like common games. So it's really one of the least important games on the schedule. So hopefully they, can figure it out, especially on offense, and improve. And next 2 weeks from now is really it's huge games.
The Cincy game's a must win. I mean, if we go into the bye at 4-2, I might be able to actually resell tickets in front of the stadium for more than what I paid for them.
Well, we have Cincy then the bye, right? So 5 games for the bye. So 3-2 with the bye, and then undefeated in conference, 3-0. I mean, that would be a very solid start. Then we come off the bye, and what? We got Tampa and Oakland. That Oakland game at the Ralphs, whew, that's going to be big.
Pirates on Pirates in October, yeah. I mean, with Denver, I just was never scared of Trevor Siemian. Even when, I mean, I went back and looked at the box score and shit. We were losing after the first quarter. It was tied after the second quarter, and then we got the lead in the fourth. And everyone's favorite play to talk about in this game was the fake handshake lift up play, which everyone gave credit for. The only reason the Bills won. I never was scared that Trevor Siemian was going to come down and tie the game and then win the game after that.
I heard some of the same stuff about how we won because of that play. That's laughable. Our defense has allowed 2 touchdowns all season, and we were supposed to assume that we were just going to let Denver march down and score a touchdown to tie the game. I mean, they probably had a 10 to 15% chance of doing that at that point, the way our defense was playing. And were we not – I feel like we were at borderline field goal range anyways. I can't remember the exact yard line, but I don't know if we would have punted. I guess I'd have to go back and check.
We were at like the 48 or 46.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Now, we were definitely going to punt, but, I mean, we would have still buried them deep into their zone. They would have had to pass. And at that point, Trevor Siemian, the guy wasn't going to march 90 or 85 yards just to tie the game and then get the ball back. I just, at that point, I mean, it was a big play. And the other play that was huge, which I overlooked, was the play that we won the challenge on with Emmanuel Sanders. Although I looked at that replay once, I said he dropped it, and I went and bought a beer, and I was right.
I said incomplete live. You could see the ball, he bobbled it. And first of all, it was a great play by White. He didn't give up on the play, came back and kind of forced it out. But, he bobbled it, and then you could see the ball hit the ground. And he didn't complete, they say complete the catch. He didn't. It was incomplete. You could tell. These announcers, oh, man, dude. Thank God you didn't have to hear these announcers. Absolutely brutal listening to these guys on Sunday. Archuleta, oh, my God.
Sunday's going to be a wake-up for me the first time I have to listen to the announcers during a Bills game. And I'll actually be able to remember all the plays. I'll be on a couch.
Yeah, it's going to be weird for you. I mean, you could probably get some, last-minute tickets. A brand new stadium could be pricey, though.
Now, I got to go to Atlanta for a wedding a couple weeks after, so I won't be in Atlanta. Hey, we be in Atlanta. Maybe I'll drive down to Cincy. You never know.
Hey, Cincy be your third trip. The Bengals. Are we going to talk about Atlanta at all, or?
I mean, we might as well look at them a little bit. They have some defensive players that are out.
Beasley, isn't their best defensive player, best pass rusher, Beasley, and he's out?
Yeah, he's out, and somebody else on their defense is also out.
Yeah, and their defense to begin with is not great. They're getting sort of a lot of praise this year. I keep hearing, oh, they're so fast and all this stuff. They're middle of the pack. They were like 25th, I think, last year. Somewhere in the 20s last year in defense. This year they're like 16th or 15th in points per game and yards per game. They're just a mediocre defense. And Carolina and Denver are top 5 defenses. I see our offense getting it going this week, similar to the Seattle game last year, and putting up some points. It's just a matter of if we can limit Matt Ryan. I mean, they're we're gonna need 27 to win, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think I came up with the same number with Rec, but actually we were paralleling, or we were comparing last week's game to week 3 last year, where it was the same thing. A team was coming off a good win. We knew that they were a decent team, not a really good team. They're coming on the road from Mountain Time Zone or Western Time Zone, wherever the hell Arizona and Denver are, and it was the exact same thing. I mean, we didn't crush them as badly, but we were 3 or 4 point dogs. It was almost a spitting image, a complete mirror image of that. Maybe this will be like the Seattle game, which, I mean, it didn't end in our favor last year, but yeah, that's actually an interesting idea.
Seattle's. I think it could be very similar. And these, I don't know. I mean, I for some reason I can't really explain it, but I have a good feeling that our offense is going to just have like 450 yards and put up some points against this team. I don't really know why, because Taylor on the road in his career has been pretty horrible. So I don't know. We'll see, but I got a good feeling about it.
I'm not overly optimistic, but I've already said this, but I feel like Atlanta is just going to look past us. They're going to, they want to get to the Bahamas for a week. They got the bye week. Why would they care about beating the Bills at all? They have nothing.
After the bye, they got crappy Miami, so they can basically. Are they going to look past us to the bye and then Miami? It's pretty not ideal. You want them playing like in Tampa the next week or something.
Yeah,
they did.
Was
they
it you that was
a huge emotional win against Detroit?
Were you the one that was saying that? Oh, it's better that they beat Detroit than losing to them, or was that someone else?
I probably said that because that's something that I would say. It's better. You get a little lax. This is an AFC game. They can easily overlook this game. They just have so many weapons on offense, though. They are just loaded. They have probably 3 receivers better than anyone we have, and maybe 2 running backs that are. McCoy's better than those guys, but they got Sanu, Jones, Gabriel. They're stacked.
Hooper,
they don't know who's their tight end.
Hooper.
Oh yeah, okay. So, I mean, they just got weapons, and we got to pressure Ryan. I heard a stat on the radio that the one good thing I ever heard come out of the John Murphy show was that McDermott or maybe it was Sal. It was Sal this morning. McDermott has like 40-something sacks in 13 games against Atlanta. So like 3.5 sacks a game.
Yeah, well, I didn't even think about that. McDermott should know how to defend this guy. I mean, I don't know what Carolina's record is against him, but I mean,
They shut him out a couple of years ago. He's faced him 13 times. I mean, he's as familiar as any coach in the NFL of Matt Ryan. 2 times a year in division, defensive coordinator. I think there's something to say about that.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like a John Murphy point, though, but I don't hate it. It's a John Murphy point where you got to give him a little bit of an HJ, but it's not the worst.
Actually, no, I don't think it was Murphy now that I think about it. So,
well, he'll probably say that tomorrow then.
Probably, but hey, man, this team is so much. Last year at this time, we were 1-2, but we strung up a couple wins. People were like, "Oh, we're good." I'm like, "No, we're not. This team's different, man. This is a solid football team we got."
The difference I see, I've got to give Dennison some credit. He sort of changed the offense. He stopped the 3-step drops. Maybe maybe we should actually try and win some games with Tyrod. And this defense, unless we give up tons of points to Atlanta and Cincy, this defense is legit. As of right now, I'm going to say it's the top 5 defense, unless the next 2 weeks in a row we get blown up. But I don't see that would happen against Cincinnati. Atlanta, I mean, we could give up 35. That's possible.
Who would you take right now? Gaines and Tre'Davious or Darby and Gilmore?
All things considered, salary, everything. I mean, what do we combined? We're probably playing Gaines and Trey White.
Like $1 million? $2 million bucks?
2 or 3, maybe. I was gonna say maybe 4 total. And Gilmore and Darby. Darby's hurt, but whatever.
Gilmore's making like what? 12? I don't even know.
No, he's making like 16. Darby's probably making. He's like in his 3rd year of his contract. He's probably making like 3 or 4. So you're looking at 20 versus 4. I mean, that's Darius' entire contract right there.
Didn't Darby break his leg too? I mean, I'm not even talking about that. I just think these guys are they're solid football players. I love the way White supports the run. I love the way he hits people. That guy's a good player. And then these safeties, man. Compare our safeties this year to last year. Graham and whoever else we had, and Blanton. Although Blanton made a play on that fake punt.
Well, yeah, that fake punt was horrible. But, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You find players that fit your system. Rex's system was you need to have good cornerbacks because they're going to be out there on an island or whatever the hell they said. But seemingly in this defensive system, the cornerbacks aren't as valuable. You plug these guys in, these safeties in, and you're paying them significantly less. Clearly, it's a better defense. I mean, I give most of the credit to just Rex being a complete fucking idiot, and McDermott actually like having charts and like planning things. Actually, like
what? Yeah. So who do you give the credit to then? Do you give the credit just like basically to McDermott, or is there a guy on the D who you think has really just been like the best player on the D? I mean, they're first in the league through 3 games in scoring defense.
I'm going to give the credit to McDermott and to, it was sort of Doug Whaley, but he's telling them this guy's going to fit the system. Poyer, the people are like, oh, we pointed out Poyer, we want this guy. I'm a Poyer boy. You pick it. These guys are going to fit my system, so I'll give the players some credit for they're playing well. EJ, all the 4 guys in our secondary all have interceptions, so I'm going to give them all credit, really.
Yeah, I think McDermott, I think the scheme, everything, but I think Poyer and Hughes have been like the 2 players that have looked the best on D. I mean, Hughes looks like a different guy this year.
Lawson.
He's a menace rushing the passer. Lawson's you can see him getting better. These guys, Poyer especially, man, what a find.
Yeah, I mean, we have him for a few years, but Shaq Lawson, it's hilarious that we drafted him to be in Rex's scheme where he was ineffective. I mean, he was also hurt and didn't have any practice, but he seemingly is much more comfortable in this scheme than last year, which is just hilarious to me. And it's completely opposite with the Raglan. It's mind-boggling, these guys.
Yeah, the Raglan. I guess I just don't understand how you can. The Raglan thing's confusing to me. Like you're really like you specialize that much in like a certain type of defense that you can't even like make the team if you change schemes. Like, is he really that bad? Like, I just couldn't believe it. I can see him maybe like being more comfortable in one scheme versus another, but to be where you'd be like cut is crazy.
Well, it might be beyond my pay grade. Some of these scheme things and the politics behind some of it and shit. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm with you.
What's your record? What's your prediction for Atlanta game?
I think it's going to be like, I think we're going to need to get to 27. I don't think we're going to do it. I'm going Falcons 26, Bills 23.
Had to get to 27. I like the specificity. But I'll give my season prediction. I haven't looked at the schedule too much lately. I mean, look, Chargers, who knows? I mean, that team, it looks like they're seemingly garbage. The Raiders coming into our barn, I never was overly concerned about that. I think that's still a coin flip game. The Saints game's still a coin flip. The Patriots, to me, don't look... I mean, they'll still beat us, but they don't look as dominant. Dolphins seemingly aren't as good. I might push us up to a 9-win total right now.
Wait, are you looking at the schedule right now? I'm pulling it up.
I pretty much know it, but no,
Tell me how many games on the schedule you think are guaranteed L's, and how many games you think are guaranteed wins.
Guaranteed losses are at New England, at Atlanta. Guaranteed wins, I would say, are at Jets, Dolphins at home, and New Orleans. New Orleans isn't a guaranteed win.
So we're gonna have a lot of close games. I think that I'd probably throw at Chiefs in there just because I feel like we're a curse versus them.
Yeah, that's a guaranteed loss. Yeah, I agree with
so
that.
That's 4 guaranteed. That's 3 guaranteed losses. Guaranteed wins. I probably agree with you on the Jets, Miami at home, Colts at home.
Yeah, definitely Colts at home.
That's 3 guaranteed wins. So basically, that's 5 wins, 4 losses, and we have 7 games. These 50-50 games, if we can win 50% of them, you got, potentially got 9 wins. 4 and 3.
For fuck's sake. I mean, we're due for some goddamn luck. Are we not due for some bounces to go our way? 17 years.
Yeah, I know, and we already got screwed, I think. The Jones play, Taylor to Jones, I mean, that's like a bounce not going your way there.
Who is Zay Jones, anyway? Is this guy gonna...
Yeah, Jones is the biggest disappointment on the team for me so far. 3 catches. We don't even throw to him. I mean, not like we throw to any wide receivers, but this guy's been invisible. He had a drop last game, another drop. He had 2 drops, one that led to a touchdown, and another drop on a slant. And it just seems
a
like
rookie second rounder. Darius is still the biggest disappointment. Sorry, we have to preface it by saying he's the highest paid defensive player in Bills history, highest paid player on the Bills, Marcel Darius. That's how you have to describe him. At least if you're writing in the Buffalo News, that's how you have to describe him.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. The guy's got talent. Hopefully, he can come back and contribute at some point this season. I mean, I don't know.
You're hurt. You're hurt. I mean, what is he? He doesn't want to play. I mean, he's still out there. He was standing on the field last week. He kneeled down. I mean, that's probably the closest he's gotten to a sack in a while. But
surprised he didn't pull his hamstring and just kneeling. The guy just seems like he's not in shape, and that's why he's getting these stupid injuries.
Well,
I don't know. But what's your prediction for this Falcons game? You haven't told me yet.
Well, you might have to just listen to the beginning of the cast, but I took an L. I took a close L.
Close L. Close L? Are you mad? Close L? Is it a moral victory for you?
There's no moral victory unless we lose. Well, the Seattle game last year was kind of a moral. If we lose on we get screwed on the last play like Detroit did, I'll take it. But I've
never seen you. I don't know if I've seen. After that Seahawks game last year, I think that's in the top 10. How pissed I've seen you after a game.
I wasn't thrilled.
Dallas Monday Nighter being number 1, but you were pissed. I'm trying to talk you off the ledge. That game was not important, and didn't work. I was right overall, but all right. We'll talk to you next week. All right, later.
We need an L. We need an L against Houston. We need as many L's as we can pile up from now until the end of the season. We're not making a playoff.
You kidding me?
Some idiot from out here in the projects.
Touchdown! No! No!